The Ruy Lopez arises from the following moves: e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. The Ruy Lopez is one of the most popular openings at all levels, but particularly among grandmasters and world champions. Virtually every world champion from the early 20th century to the present day has played the Ruy Lopez, either with white or black. This includes players like Bobby Fischer, Garry Kasparov, and Magnus Carlsen. Now let us look at some traps. The first trap we will look at arises after the following moves, which are a6, bishop a4, d6 the Steinitz defense, d4, b5, bishop b3, knight takes d4, knight recaptures on d4, pawn takes on d4, and queen takes d4. As you can see, queen captures pawn is a blunder. Any ideas how black can take advantage of this position? So in this position, black plays the powerful move, pawn to c5. An excellent move. In this position, white can play queen to d5, threatening to play checkmate on f7. We also see at the same time, black's rook is vulnerable and loose on a8. What is black's best reply? Here black can play bishop to e6, threatening the white queen. This move also enables the black queen to protect the rook. White can give a check on c6. Black will then block with the bishop. The white queen goes back to d5 to threaten the checkmate again. However, this time, what can black play instead of bishop to e6 to threaten the queen? That's right, black can play pawn to c4, trapping the white bishop. This is known as the Noah's Ark trap. In this position, instead of white playing queen to d5, the best move is queen to c3, but again black can still trap the bishop. Going back to the Ruy Lopez start position, instead of playing a6, if black was to play knight to f6 instead, we would go into the variation known as the Berlin defense. Let's look at this next trap from black's perspective. White plays a normal looking move, pawn to d3, defending the pawn on e4. Here black plays a tricky and crafty move. Any ideas what this move is? Let's stop and have a think. So black plays the strange move knight to e7. This is known as the Mortimer trap. It is good practice in the opening to not move the same piece twice. However, in this case, an exception to that rule can be made. As we can see, the black knight is no longer defending the pawn on e5. At first, it looks like black has simply made a mistake. White sees that this pawn is no longer defended, and so white captures the loose pawn on e5. Here, black can play pawn to c6, threatening the white bishop. White can save this bishop by moving it to c4 or a4. Let's examine what happens with each scenario. If the white bishop moves to c4 threatening checkmate on f7, what do you think black will play? That's right, black here plays the powerful move queen to a5, checking the king, and at the same time, attacking the white knight on e5 through a forking tactic. If the bishop goes to a4 instead, we have the same move again, but with the bishop and knight attacked at the same time, a nasty triple fork. Now let's go back. What happens if white decides not to save the bishop? Here white has a clever move. White can play knight to c4, sacrificing the bishop. If black takes the bishop, what do you think white plays? That's right, white plays knight to d6, delivering a smothered mate to the black king. Instead of taking the bishop, black should play d6 instead. If white saves the bishop, black can play a fork on b5. Black is completely dominating this position. So in this position, instead of taking the loose pawn on e5, white should instead castle kingside or play knight to c3. This next trap comes from the exchange variation of the Ruy Lopez. Here the bishop captures the knight, and after black recaptures, white does a normal developing move by castling their king to safety. Now black plays bishop to g4, attacking the white knight and pinning it to the queen. This is known as a relative pin, meaning the knight can move if it wishes. However, we will just lose the queen, so probably not the best idea. White's natural response here is to get rid of this annoying black bishop by playing pawn to h3. White assumes that black will either capture the knight or simply retreat. However, black has a surprise for white. If you have not seen this trap before, what do you think black plays? Here, black plays h5, completely ignoring the bishop's safety. This is known as the fishing pole trap. If white captures the bishop, black will capture back, attacking the white knight, and at the same time opening up the h-file for the black rook on h8 to attack the vulnerable square on h1, which is only defended by the white king. If white saves their knight by going to h2, what do you think black does? That's right. Black applies more pressure by playing queen to h4, an excellent move. The black queen teams up with the black rook to create a battery and threaten checkmate on h2. If white tries to make an escape for the king by playing f3, black simply closes the door by playing the lethal pawn to g3. It's game over for white. Now, for some revision. In this video, we looked at 3 different opening traps you can encounter in the Ruy Lopez. Do you remember what these were called and which variations they come from? Feel free to pause the video and have a think. Try not to read the comments and video description or look earlier in the video. Challenge yourself. Try to remember. As a bonus challenge, try to also remember the move order from the Ruy Lopez start position, which leads to the start of the trap position. If you have a physical board, try to play this out. If you can also remember the notation, even better. Here we can see 3 positions labelled A, B, and C. Let me know in the comments below which trap corresponds to which letter, and which variation of the Ruy Lopez it is from. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That way you won't miss a thing. And be sure to leave a comment telling me what videos you'd like me to work on next. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.